Okay, hey there. We're going to do a quick paint tip today. This is making a color isolator and how to use it. So a color isolator is a way of being able to identify a color. Lots of times when we have a photo reference, or maybe we're out in plain air and we're looking at something on location and we're having trouble figuring out just exactly what color is that, and as I'm trying to mix up the paint for it, if I'm not sure what I'm trying to mix up, it's going to make it almost impossible to actually find the color that you're trying to find. If you have a photo reference like this and you're saying, say, what about that snow color back there in the shadows on that mountain? How can I kind of figure that out? Well, one thing that we've realized is if we're seeing a lot of color around the color that we're trying to figure out, it kind of confuses us. So if we can just isolate just that color, it makes it a lot easier to be able to figure out exactly what color we're talking about. So here's a simple little trick. It's called a color isolator. We're going to make one. Just taking a piece of paper, if you take a hole punch and you just punch a hole in that piece of paper and then hold it up to the spot that you're trying to identify, it will really help you to be able to figure out for sure what color is that. Now, what I did was just punch through a piece of paper, but if you have a value scale, it's really helpful to punch holes in the value scale itself, so that as you're trying to identify that color, not only are you trying to identify what we call the hue, or the color of the color, but if you're also able to compare it to a value. So in other words, how light or how dark is that color? And so as I'm looking through this value scale, I can compare and say, okay, that blue that I'm seeing through the value scale, is it lighter or darker than black? And it seems to be lighter. If I'm looking at it through the white scale, I'm saying it's much darker than white. And then I'm looking at it through the medium scale, and that gives me an idea, like as I'm mixing up that color, just how light or how dark is that color. So let's try mixing this blue color. Well, what I realize is it's a medium tone because it's closest to this medium gray on my value scale here. So we're going to start with colors that will allow us to be able to get that medium tone. So let's start with this kind of darker blue instead of that light blue selection. And I'm going to grab my paper towel here. I'm going to clean that off. Now let's kind of add a little bit of white to that. And so we're lightening that paint, and see how much lighter that is than what is actually there. So we're going to add a little bit more blue to it until it gets to be kind of a medium tone. And that's getting us in that range of kind of a medium tone color. So it's not dark, dark, not light, light. But now I want to show you something. So we may be kind of light to dark in the right range. I'm going to actually put a little bit of that paint on my photo reference. And what you'll probably immediately notice is, even though from light to dark that blue is correct, that blue has a quality about it that we call high chroma. So in other words, it has a lot of energy to it. It's not dull like the color of this mountain here. So let's just wipe this off. And how would we dull that blue out? This is something that you can watch our paint class videos, and you'll find a lot of information about neutralizing a color. But you always take that color's color complement, or opposite, on the color wheel, and you introduce a little bit of that opposite color into the blue that you created, and that neutralizes it out so that it gets that dull feel to it. And so now we're going to add that dull medium toned blue paint, and that is pretty darn close to the color that we're actually looking for. It's the right value from light to dark, it's the right hue, the color of the color, and it's the right amount of intensity, or in other words, it's been neutralized down so that it is really pretty darn close to the actual color that we're trying to get. So you could work at that and get it even a little bit closer, but this is a great tool for you to be able to make just very simply by using a hole punch and a piece of paper. Okay? Stick around for more videos, quick tip videos that'll give you some really good information. Thanks. Bye.